You can have the best vision board, the best goals, the best 5-year plan, but none of it is going to matter if your nervous system thinks it is constantly under attack. Hi, if you don't know who I am, my name is Dawn Barbara, and I'm with the Cozy Reset Studio, where we talk about mindfulness for women with ADHD who are seeking a slower and gentler life. Today's topic, the nervous system, and the 4 things that we need to have to try and settle down our nervous system. But first, why is that actually important? When we're trying to do different types of self-development, personal improvement, work on our self-esteem, create some sort of new life, like a new business, or we're wanting to create more abundance in our life, anything along those lines, if our nervous system is feeling like it's constantly under attack, we're not in that right vibration to attract those good things that we're trying to manifest. Gabby Bernstein, she talks about this in a lot of her work, where starting from a place of love and joy and gratitude is really that foundation for anything that we're wanting to create or if we're wanting to work on some sort of personal development. Love, joy, and gratitude doesn't coexist with a dysregulated nervous system. So the first piece for regulating our nervous system, okay, is felt safety. So I have some notes written off to the side. So you see my eyes darting to the side, that's because I'm just looking at my notes here. So felt safety is where we're not defaulting to that ADHD hypervigilant state. Okay, we're letting ourselves get out of that constant threat response that so many of us with ADHD have or we have developed sort of over the years. So we're having an internal experience of not feeling judged. We feel like we're actually understood and we are emotionally regulated. So a big part of this video today, I'm talking about the morning I just had. Both my daughter and I were emotionally dysregulated. So that idea of felt safety didn't exist for either of us. I immediately went to these stories in my head of being the worst mom ever and never being allowed to feel my own emotions, and all of those limiting beliefs that I've been working on for so long just immediately come back into my head when I have a emotional dysregulation. My daughter, also neurodiverse, she was going through her own little journey this morning as well. Very much similar to mine. Both of us, that felt safety wasn't in the cards for us this morning. We had a great talk and talked about how can we, communicate better? How are we both feeling? What experience was it for us? And being able to have those communications allows us to get to that better feeling state to regulate our emotions. The second part is predictability, or having some sort of a rhythm for our day. As women with ADHD, we do better with some level of structure. Now, I'm not talking about a perfectly filled day of exactly what you're going to do all day, every day. That can create its own level of overwhelm and paralysis, as well as demand avoidance if that's something that you experience. But there's a level of security in knowing what to expect. This helps strengthen our dopamine levels, the idea of having expectations, accomplishments, knowing what's going on keeps our dopamine nicely regulated instead of the ups and downs that go along with a less structured system and all the other things that we know about dopamine with the, doom scrolling and all that stuff that contributes to these quick hits of dopamine. We have less decision making. Now, I don't know about you, every woman, but certainly women with ADHD, decision making fatigue and getting in again to that paralysis state because we have more decisions that we need to make. We run out of our capacity to make decisions. If we have some level of structure, we don't have as many decisions to make. So that helps to lower that cognitive load and also provides less anxiety as well. And my story has included anxiety since my teen years. So anything that can help me to diminish anxiety, that's a good thing in my book. Now, again, going back to earlier today for myself and my daughter, that co-regulation and that connection. So finding somebody who is calm, they feel safe, and they are emotionally regulated, having that person that you can connect with. It's kind of almost like emotional regulation through osmosis, right? We're helping each other through our energy. If somebody is feeling calm and at ease, it's going to help you feel calm and at ease. I'm sure you've been around somebody who has been, off the wall, chaotic energy. You get into that off the wall and chaotic energy, and you just sort of feed off each other's energy. It can work in reverse as well for people to help you calm down, being around somebody who has the sort of energy that you're looking for. Now, because both my daughter and I were in this emotionally dysregulated state, I needed to calm down first. By doing that, I was able to then help her calm down. And that works very well. Sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, it has been the reverse. She's been the calm one, and she's helped me calm down, which is a very different situation to be in as a parent. But certainly it can help as well because we all have our emotions. As parents, we have our emotions. We're as entitled to how we feel as our kids do. But as a parent, we need to lead. So it feels weird when the child is the one who is providing that calm regulation. I know I used to get very frustrated, the number of people who would say, oh, well, your daughter's anxious because you're anxious. Yeah, and sadly, that was actually very true. These first three things, there's many ways that we can bring these about. And getting to that emotionally regulated state can look so many different ways. Now, as a mindfulness coach, certainly meditation is a great way to bring us into that state. But meditation, it's not always possible when you're very emotionally dysregulated and you're somebody with ADHD, because sitting still on a cushion doesn't always work, and doing that thing where you're sitting still, it doesn't naturally happen for people with ADHD. So I do have a free guide that I have a link for down below in the description, and it is 5 Minecraft moments that are secretly mindfulness. Now, this goes very much with my own thesis of mindfulness needing to be fun and quirky to help people with ADHD. So if you're into video games, especially if you're into mindfulness, this guide can really be helpful. Even if you're not, it's going to help open your eyes to ways in which you can find mindfulness in a lot of the everyday things that you're doing. And it may not be the exact same as meditation, but certainly it can be helpful in getting us into that emotionally regulated state. So the fourth and final thing that is needed for a nervous system regulation is physical discharge of stress. This can look very different depending on sort of what you need and maybe even the space that you're in. Okay, so again, I'm just looking at my notes here to make sure I get them all right here. So it's intentional movement, first of all, and it sends the nervous system a signal that the threat has passed. Okay, so for about a minute, do some intense activity. All right, so this could be, running, jumping jacks, rowing, cycling, something that is very intense just for about a minute or so, right? And that sort of sends that signal that the stress has passed. Using weighted blankets or something that has a pressure to it, and that pressure also helps to dissipate that stress. Now, shaking your hands, arms, and legs. This sounds kind of weird. It's something I first saw on Instagram. I tried it, and you're just shaking out bad energy, shaking out stress, and just do it for as long as it feels good, and it discharging high arousal energy. Okay, and it's weird looking, and people, if you do because I've done it, if you do this in your office, you will get funny looks, and then you tell people what it is, and they'll be like, oh, and surprisingly it does work. And then rhythmic movement such as walking, cycling, rocking, it's kind of along those lines of stimming, which people who are on the autism spectrum, they talk about stimming quite a bit. Well, this works for people with ADHD too, because it's this rhythmic movement. It helps to release trapped energy. Okay. And then finally, people with ADHD, people with anxiety, it's a mixed bag, if you will, of how controlled breathing, focusing on your breathing works. And so what I find, to not really think about focusing on your breath, but you're just going to do something very quick. Okay, as you're going to do 2 quick inhales through your nose, then 1 long exhale. And this will work fairly quickly to lower your nervous system and help you feel relaxed. If it does make you anxious, don't do it. Okay? If you're ever watching any of my meditation videos and I talk about breathing, you'll know that I tell you find something else to focus on. But this one is very effective, provided that focusing on your breath doesn't cause more anxiety for you. So again, you're going to inhale quickly through your nose and then a long one out through the mouth. So like that. And that helps to regulate your nervous system. So those are those 4 ways to help regulate your nervous system. Those 4 is what people say needs to be included in an overall nervous system regulation. And finding ways to put that into a practice, into a schedule, is going to help your nervous system from becoming dysregulated, but also certainly it'll help you if it does get dysregulated in getting yourself back into a regulated state. So down in the description, you will find a link to a workshop that I am offering. It's called The Great Escape. And this is for women with ADHD who are wanting to create an exit plan from burnout in a way that actually works for their brain. So that link is down below in the description. So I am offering this workshop several times a month. So certainly there's going to be one coming up soon that you'll be able to register for. That description, like I said, that link is down in the description. So thank you very much. I'd love to hear in the comments if you've tried any of these and how they work for you. That would be absolutely fantastic. And of course, any feedback is always welcome. So have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.